Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all know what time it is. You know what day it is. It's Wednesday. Not only is it Wednesday, it's Wind Down Wednesday. And we are back in front of you again. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You know, it don't get no better than this. Life is good. God is good. It's all good. But welcome,
Yeah,
welcome, welcome. We are back in the building once again. So what's going on, sis? How are you?
I'm doing well. Just been a little bit disturbing here lately. All this violence and sadness, but outside of that, just grateful that my family is safe and praying for others always. So yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of rough, kind of somber. It's
yeah.
crazy. But other than that, it's just like we got to keep going. Unfortunately, we do. It's just bad all around. But in the meantime, before we get all down into let's talk about it, how your week been?
Oh, it's been not too bad. Can't complain. A little sleepy, as y'all can see. My bad. Yawning all over the place. My bad. I mean, it's been going okay. It's been going great outside of all of the bad news. Yes, since yesterday. So, hey AJ, thanks for
What's up,
tuning in.
AJ?
It is
What's
too
up?
much.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
what's
So how
going
about
on?
you?
Thanks for
Hey
tuning in,
Robert.
my good people. Where you been, Robert? We've
Hi.
been missing you.
Yes. How you been? So how you been? How's your week going?
My week been pretty good. It's been very, very busy, and I mean extremely busy. I mean, when I say busy, it's always something I'm trying to do, I need to do, and I got to do. But other than that, life is good, God is good, it's all good. But my week has been pretty good because I'm alive and well, and it has been like it's somber and it's been tough, it's been rough. You're trying to tie some things up, you're trying to get some stuff done, and then once we're in a happy mode and we're in a happy place, and we all smiling because the weather is beginning to get nice, and we can get outside, and it's just like, boom, something hit you. So other than that, life for me has been good. I have no complaints right now, none, because there are people way worse off than me. So there are really no complaints. I have no complaints right now. So other than that, God is good, and I'm grateful and thankful. My family thus far is doing well. So I got to see one of my brothers just Monday or Tuesday. He came through here, so that was good.
Hi.
I was happy to see him. So everything is good right now. It's good. It's one day at a time. It's one day at a time. One day at a time.
For sure.
One day. So let's get right down into the nitty gritty of today's conversation. Yeah, we are all we want to know how you feel. How about that? We want to know how you feel about the shooting that took place in Texas. And as somebody was saying, just a couple of weeks ago, we had the shooting in Buffalo. But not only was it a shooting in Buffalo, there was a shooting in when I was in Houston last week. There was some kind of shooting in Houston that took place in a shopping mall or a shopping area or something. So there have been like shootings that are taking place recently all over the place. And it's unfortunate that they have become, it's almost like it's becoming a part of the normal every single day. But the bad
Yeah.
thing about it is someone taking the life of others because of the color of their skin or because they don't like them, or I don't know. I mean, we can't continue to blame things on people having mental issues. Although this is
No.
May, it is the mental health month, but we can't keep blaming it on they have mental issues. This guy in Texas was 18 and was allowed to purchase an assault rifle. And I think they that thing shot like 23 rounds or something like that at one time. Now whether or not he reloaded or anything like that, but it's like, how do you feel? What are you feeling about this? I mean, right now my emotions are all over the place because I love kids, and I'm really angry and mad. He said he busy with his kids at track practice. Well, that's right. Afraid to put my kids in day camp. This is madness. And that's the whole thing. We are now living in like a world of fear. We can't even go to the
Yeah.
freaking grocery store. can't send our kids to school, and it's only so much that the police can do because they can't be everywhere all the time. So how do you feel? I mean, how do you feel about all of this, sis? Because you got a kid that's still in school. I mean, she is still in school. So how do you feel about
Yeah,
all
and yeah, very troubled by it. Obviously praying. We pray, oh, excuse me, continuously, but every day, for both of our kids, and for our family and things like that. But it's very um nerve wracking. You can't help but to think about it. You can't help but to try not to worry, but pray and hope that your kid is safe. And I know a lot of parents are just like, dang, they didn't want to send their kid to school today because they like, what's the odds that it could be my child's school next?
right,
Like, you can't,
right,
as a parent, you can't walk around and say, hey, we in a good district or we in a good area. It can't happen to me, because it can happen to anybody at any time. Things are happening in broad daylight where it used to be, oh, things will happen at night. And so, um, just, I'm just really heartbroken. I couldn't imagine, coming home, sending my kid off, and then coming home and getting up the next day and their room is there and they're not there.
right.
Like, that's like, that just crushes me, and she got another whole week of school left. And so a lot of schools are late. Some have gotten out today, some got out last week. It's a very troublesome time.
It really is. And it's like, and then here's my thing, and I'm not the one to get all into this political stuff because I really don't like politics of it all. And it's unfortunate that politics plays a huge role in all of
Yes,
this.
yes,
I
it
was
does.
saying, and I was talking and listening to somebody earlier today. It don't matter if when you go vote, it does not matter if you got a D or R in front of your name or behind your name. It doesn't matter if you are black or white. We should be voting on what's right. I
Hmm.
mean, because that is the right thing to do. There is no freaking way an 18-year-old should be able to go in and buy a freaking gun from anywhere, anywhere.
Wow.
But then we want to pass the laws to stand your ground. You can walk around here, you can drive with the gun in your car, you can have it and you can be swinging it around in the air and ain't gonna nothing happen to you.
It
Who
just,
does that?
yeah, depending on their complexion, it's just really sad because a 18-year-old can just now barely vote. They can't drink, but it's okay to go ahead and buy a weapon that can harm someone. It takes someone's life, not just harm them, but take them off of this earth. I don't.
Yes,
That's backwards to me. That it makes no sense. Like, there's
none.
no theory, no rhetoric, no common anything. Like, and a lot of people try to say, common sense to tell you that, but nowadays you can't even say that anymore. Common sense ain't
No,
common. Like, who is the person who sold this weapon to this basically a child?
exactly. And then they were
Somebody,
saying that
somebody has to pay for this. Someone has
somebody.
to pay
And
for this. Okay, the young person is dead, but the person who allowed this to happen has to pay for this.
yep, where he got that gun from. Not only that, what about the gun manufacturing company? I mean, what role do they play in this? They manufacture these high power guns. Here's what I've always said, and I'm a stick to it. I'm gonna stick to it. What's going on, Tracy?
Hey,
Thanks for tuning
Tracy,
in.
thanks for coming
Glad to
in.
see you back. We've been missing you, sister.
Yes.
Here's what I'm saying. There should not be any high-powered rifles sold to anybody. Those are rifles that should be used during the war or in the army. That's just the way I feel. That's just my own personal feeling, my own personal perspective on all of this, because every time you turn around, nobody is shooting anybody with a pistol. They're not
Right.
going in, with a shotgun. They're going in
No,
with these high
fully
powered
automatic. Yep.
semi-automatic or automatic
Yep.
rifles, AR 15, 16, 25, 30. So
They're
why are
going in
we
to, they're
still,
going in to cause damage. They're not
they
going in
really are,
to prove a point. They're going in to cause destruction.
mass destruction, and what is it you trying, and if you're trying to go down in history, but you dead, you know, what is really going on? Once again, I still blame it on politics, because you can't get a driver's license until you 16, 17, 18. You got to have the insurance, and when you get one as an 18-year-old, if you got your own car, it's astronomically high,
Hi. Yes.
extremely high. Like you said, you cannot buy
You can't purchase
cigarettes
alcohol.
or
Right.
purchase alcohol, unless you're a certain age. And it's just like, why are you allowed to go? And I don't even like the fact that if you are 21, you can be a law enforcement officer. They need to increase that number too, because you're still young, you're still
The
a baby, you
maturity,
ain't
yeah,
exposed.
the maturity level, yeah, very
It's not
immature.
exactly. You don't even life ain't even hit you yet. You hadn't been on a job long. So you're at 21, and then you walking around here with a badge and a gun. I think I think they should all increase. You can be a firefighter at 18. Now that's totally different. But when you are in law enforcement, 21, you just barely over 20. And they want to allow you to carry a gun around here. It's only so much that can be done. But the question is, what can we do? And I tell people all the time, primaries are more important than the actual voting time. Because if you
Right.
put those people in the primaries, if you get them in there and then they make it to November 3rd and they end, then guess what? You did your job. You did your job. And it's crazy to me for them to allow. Hey,
Hey,
Kelly, how are
Kelly.
you? Good to see you the other night. What's going on, Angela?
Angela, welcome back. Good to see you.
Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. We're sitting here talking about the incident that happened with what can we do? How are we going to stop it? Because it doesn't make sense to me. I am angry, but I'm emotional all at the same time. And here's my thing too. People don't really, until it hits home, until it gets close to you, until it happens somewhere near you, then all of a sudden you want to,
It means
get all,
something. Yeah.
yeah, you want to say something. And yes, Tracy, it is a
Yes, it
reunion
is,
today,
Tracy.
honey. It's a reunion today.
That's actually making me smile. So that's what's
Yep.
up.
And I was talking to I was at Cooper's Hawk last night, had to go get me a turkey burger. And I was talking to the bartender, and she said she don't even want to send her kid to school. She is afraid. She said she wants to homeschool her own child. That's where we are. That's the mindset where we're in. Once again, we can't go to the freaking grocery store either and feel safe.
No, nowhere. You're not safe anywhere.
And we vote these people in office, these idiots in office, and then they want to stand your ground law. And if somebody say boo, it's like, oh, I was fearful of my life. How you fearful? But how did that kid, here it's an elementary school. This is my whole thing. This is where I think the front office people, the staff members, should also be aware and be cognizant of. Angela say, I think you have good perspective on what could be done. I do have a great perspective on it, but hugs all around. Yes,
Yes, thank
we all
you.
need
We
it.
all need it.
We all
Yes.
need it, girl. Yes, we do. But my thing is, if he didn't have a kid in a niece, a nephew, or cousin in that school, and if they saw him coming in the front door, from my understanding, he came in the front door. If he comes in the front door and he has a gun, what are you doing? They say he came in and went straight down the hallway, took a right, took a left, or whatever, and went into one of the classrooms. What is the people doing at the front office?
Right, exactly. And then I know majority of schools that I have went to, and I can only speak to what I've witnessed. You have to press a button. You can't just walk in like it was when I was in school or when you was in school. You just walk up to the door, pull the door open, walk on in. You have to be buzzed in, and then they ask you like what your purpose for being there is. Like you can't. I don't understand how he was able to just walk into a school like this is a non-locked facility. Somebody open the door. Like it's just so many unanswered questions, and
Right.
it just doesn't make sense.
Because he didn't do nothing to the people in the office. Tracy, I get it. If I had and I say that all the time, I am so thankful and grateful that I do not have to put up with the school issues these days. I mean, in many
Whew.
ways, other than the shootings, but people now at schools, I feel the front office in some of these places are nonchalant. They are
Yeah,
so nonchalant,
yeah.
and I go to this school and it ain't gonna happen at this school. My husband is a UPS
Wow.
having delivered a girl,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm talking about. This is really a small community, though. Absolutely, it's a small community, which is where I came from, a small community, which means that when I was born and raised, I came from a small area. Once again, let's go back to the office staff. Did they
Right.
know him? Did he have any siblings or cousins there?
But how do you pass all of these people come in the door with a gun on you?
With a
How do
gun.
you just how do they just stroll by like, oh yeah, how you do that?
And did he come in running down the hallway?
Right.
You know,
They just see the gun and then they just thought about themselves and they think about the other people what was actually going to transpire. They're like, oh, we got a gun. Let me back up. Like, let me find my way out instead of trying to help someone else. Like, I don't understand the thought process.
me either. And I don't see, that's what I'm saying. I think, and I've seen it, like I said, I was in law enforcement and I just happened to be a boss that worked in the schools with several SROs who I thought and still think that they were great and wonderful.
And thank you for your service, Sergeant.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, Angela, it is Texas. It is in Texas. I'm from Samson, Alabama, baby. It's the same way. I'm from Alabama, which is a straight Republican
Wow.
state.
Wow, Tracy.
Owen Woods, the office has a door on it, and they have no clue who's walking in. My whole
That's not
point.
safe, and that's not safe.
Yep, some places they don't trip on it. They don't because they
don't think it's gonna happen to them.
They don't think it's gonna happen to them. They don't think it's gonna happen at that school. And I have worked once again in many schools in the city of Cincinnati, the state of Ohio, where I have gone to these elite schools, very elite schools, where they're so nonchalant about, oh, it won't happen here. Oh, it ain't gonna happen in my school. Even had them to say it ain't gonna happen there. Had some of the staff members to say out of their mouth it doesn't happen there. And me being so straightforward as I am, going in there, telling them, now what you gonna do when somebody come in here and shoot up the school?
Right.
What you gonna do when it happens? Because it's gonna happen at some point.
Bound.
But whether or not
it's bound, unfortunately, yeah.
No, that's what I said. Unfortunately, whether or not it's gonna be this school in particular, we have been so fortunate in Cincinnati for it not to happen. And I'm not gonna say it won't happen. I'm gonna say we have some of the best SROs. We had some of the best SROs. I don't know who's there now. We had some of the best SROs and the best bosses in the city. Yes, I'm gonna say that because you got to care about the kids. You got to care what happens to them. If you don't, then stuff like this will happen, and you got to let the staff know. CPS they know I cared about the kids and the safety of every school that I was involved with. Nidra,
girl? You're right. She said, how was he able to just walk into a building? He was white. He's not a threat, and especially with a gun. That's how they think, and that's fact.
And I think he was Hispanic with the name that he had because it was a Hispanic area.
I'm down for it, AJ.
Well, I ain't really up for teachers carrying guns. And the only reason why I say that, and Angela says, but post Columbine and Sandy Hook, that should have been on the contingency checkout list.
Yes, I agree.
It should have been. Yes, girl, I know. I know, girl. Condo was good. That's what I'm saying. There were great SROs. Cincinnati has always had good SROs, but AJ, I do not think teachers should have guns in school. Just me, because anybody can have a gun. Anybody
nowadays, yeah,
anybody can have a gun. But how well trained are you? You don't get a license for a gun. In law enforcement, you got to go through some intense training before you start, while you're in there, and before you retire.
And so what you saying that I agree with you 1,000%. And so that needs to be a part of the agenda. We need teachers globally to be trained on a regular basis. I don't care if it's every 30 days, on how to use a weapon if they are going to have them in a classroom. Knowledge is power, and it's what's in the works right now has not been working. So we got to do something different.
Well, the whole thing is, you give a gun to a teacher in a classroom, I can guarantee you a kid is gonna know where that gun is. So what happens if that child has a bad day and decide I'm gonna attack Miss Smith because I know what Miss Smith gun is? They're gonna take the gun, shoot Miss Smith and everybody else. I don't you that's why I don't think guns should be in school. There's a whole lot of reasons why. That's why there's a lot of loopholes to getting guns. But I don't feel like guns should be in school, even if they're locked up, because if they're locked up, you can't get to them. But if you lock them up, teachers don't keep their mouths closed in school. They talk too much. They
I agree
talk
with that.
too much.
Now that
You know,
I
and
can
a
agree with.
kid is going to know where that gun is. But you know, it's like, so I don't agree with teachers having guns, principals having guns, guns being in school, period. There aren't enough law enforcement police officers to cover anybody's school. You know, unless it's a small, I mean, very, very small, and you got a whole lot that can cover a school. How about this? A lock case that unlocks remotely in the event of a lockdown. Once again, you with the kids as a teacher. You are with the children with the lockdown. And if a kid has anxiety and they felt overwhelmed, they just may overpower you, overtake you, do whatever, and get that gun and try to do some things for themselves.
But that's why I said. But that's why I said if that is the case, that they need to have the correct type of training.
If you're not in law enforcement, I'm gonna say that again. If you're not in law enforcement, I just don't feel a teacher
Have
should
training, have the training from law enforcement to these teachers, because when these incidents happen, it's a greater chance for more children to walk back home to be back with their parents.
We
have law enforcement come into these schools, get into these schools, not just the SROs. Yes, we know those are very important. But doing the training with these teachers so that these type of situations aren't happening as regular as they are.
1 day training, 2 day training is not going to help. We went through training. We went through a various year before I became the police, the law enforcement. I had to go through a whole year of some intense training. You cannot do that training. This is my personal opinion, people. This is just me. I'm just speaking from the experience and what I think. You cannot have a teacher to train 1 or 2 months and then say they are trained. Can you?
Not at all.
Because you can go to the target range and shoot the gun as many times as you can, and you're going to hit that target every single time. It's more to it than just shooting a gun.
And that's what I'm saying.
So we had the greatest officers working at our school in the 90s, but paid officers back in the schools, law enforcement, let the teachers teach and the officers protect. You got to have enough. I agree. You got to have enough, because now you're putting something else on top of that teacher that they're going to be responsible for. Hey, the teacher's scared to go to school. They're scared to go. They don't want to be there.
Yeah,
I mean, because we know
we're gonna afford to put the police in the school and put them in the school. But if not, I mean, that will be the only other thing I suggest. So you can have parents that's just gonna be like, hey, we're not taking that chance because we just don't feel safe.
Exactly. And psychological training, I went through that too. I mean, we have vigorous training. You just don't become the police overnight.
Yeah.
And we train. The 23 years of my service, I trained. It was so bad, I used to get mad when they said go to training. But I knew that the training was going to help me to, be better at whatever it is that I observed or whatever I came across. And I mean, we come across some of the craziest things. You cannot go in there thinking that you're going to run into the same incident every time. You can't do that. That's why you got to know what you're running into, know what you're going. You got to dissect it. It's a lot to it. Teachers I don't think they are qualified enough or ever will be qualified enough to have guns in school. We got to do something to keep our kids safe. I agree with that wholeheartedly, AJ, wholeheartedly. But
I agree.
If a teacher go crazy, if a teacher has a mental breakdown because they so overwhelmed with everything that's going on, and they got a gun and want to take the principal out, then now what? We got to be careful. What's up, Charlene? What's
There's
going
always
on?
a scenario for a scenario.
It is. They need active shooter training, period. This isn't the time now not to. Totally agree. This world isn't what it used to be. They should be
Mm-mm.
trained how to defuse a situation if they can. They should be. But once again, half of them teachers that they teach, that they bring in to teach, and y'all know Cincinnati Public Schools is the most inner city. It's a lot of inner city kids. And you got
Yep.
to look at the teachers that are teaching these kids, you know, and you don't have the same caliber of teachers teaching our children in these schools. Trust me, I know.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I see it. You got a better quality of teacher teaching. I'm not saying that none of the teachers are bad, but this is how Cincinnati Public School does. You don't put that same teacher at Walnut Hills over in Withrow. They try to handpick what they feel is the best teachers to put at Walnut Hills, and they won't put them at Withrow.
Right.
So you got to be careful who you put where and how much can they stand. I'm gonna say a teacher at Walnut probably can't handle the kids at Withrow.
Right.
Angela Kearney, okay, let's talk numbers. How many extra officers would we need just to outfit CPS alone? Honey, how many at schools is it? Now, we're not just talking about the elementary schools, we're talking about the high school too. But guess what? The SROs don't have to just cover Cincinnati Public Schools. They got the charter schools and they got the private Catholic schools too. So those are the other schools that will need police. But let me tell y'all this in case you didn't know. Seton High School, which is a girls' school here in Cincinnati, state of Ohio, and so is Elder Macaulay, I think closed. I don't know, but those two schools have former. They pay them to go in there. Police officers, retired police officers that specifically work there, and they got police radios. Now,
so that makes sense.
Say this. They got Cincinnati police radios. Them the only schools that I know that's got police radios that can talk to Cincinnati police and the dispatch and everybody. But CPS don't have that. Now, you help me out. Why doesn't the public school have the same thing as, because if you got a radio, you got it, money. If you got a police radio in every Cincinnati public school, somebody in that school need to know when to call the police on that radio and when not to.
Yep.
I'm just
saying. And that's being proactive.
Yep.
Yes, Tracy said online school should be an option beyond COVID. I agree. Your job should have to accommodate your choice at least 3 days a week. Companies have learned that they can operate without a staff in the building. I agree with that 1,000%. Outside of all of the craziness with the shootings and things, there may just be stuff happening in the school period. We don't heard of kids being just harassed by an adult, or not feeling like they fit in, etc., bullying, you name it.
Yep.
A lot of times it sounds good, it sounds like we get to the bottom of it, but we're not. And then next thing you know, you're hearing about a child hanging themselves or taking their own lives.
Yep.
So those options need to be put in place for instances like that, and I agree with you 1,000%.
They should. And you're right, Tracy. A lot of those, they come from the west side. So if they were born and raised and with the school on the west side, then they're going to work on the west side. They're going to go in there because they feel more comfortable.
Relatable. Right.
They're more comfortable in their own environment than they are in the Withrows and the Woodwards. But I still say, this is just my thought, and y'all can pass it on to the new head of Cincinnati Public Schools if you like. For those that are listening, to all the deacons, missionaries, saints, and
friends.
That how about putting a Cincinnati police radio at the front office? Now this is how you train the staff and the secretaries and the principals. But that radio has to be on, and we got 5 districts. So that radio should be on District 1, 2, 3, wherever that school is located.
Yep.
Now this may take a little bit of money, but somebody got some grant money that they can come up with.
Right. Money or a child's life. Money or people's lives. Money. Come on.
If somebody is coming in there with a gun, click that radio. There is an intruder in the building. I can guarantee you that place will be surrounded by police in less than 3 minutes, because it's always going to be a police somewhere in that area. And
Yep.
not only in that area, it's gonna be policing, like you got county, you got the state, you got those other little municipalities. They're going to come too. It's a little red button on that radio. That's all you got to do is push that little red button on that radio.
The little panic button.
And then that secretary or principal or whoever talk, because they're gonna be at the front office. We got an active shooter in the building. I promise you, everybody and their mama coming. But every school, every Cincinnati public school, from preschool to high school, will need a radio.
That's for
At
sure.
the front office. How about we start there?
Okay.
Now I ain't never came up with, but how about we start there? Y'all ain't got to tell them it came from me. You can tell them it came from yourself. It's pretty scary when I think I'd rather send my kids into a contaminated vacuum of COVID than to be sitting duck at the school from August to May. I agree. Had a panic button on my desk at my old job. Yep, but
that's an option too.
Here, we had that at the casino. Yes, police radio dispatch desk. Tracy, here's the thing about your panic button. By the time you push that panic button, it's got to go to the dispatch, and dispatch then got to send it to somebody. The difference is with a police radio, and Carolyn know it. What's up, Carolyn? Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, yes.
Police radio, everybody and their mama gonna hear what's going on immediately. So it don't have to go to a third party before it get back around to taking action. It goes directly to the dispatcher, but while in the meantime, everybody else is listening to that tone. Everybody hears that boop, 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 whatever it is. And they know to start listening, officer needs assistance or school needs assistance. Get over there. There's an active intruder. But they're going to hear your voice come over and say, there's an active intruder in our building. Can you please send the police? Boom. The button ain't got to go through somebody else and go through somebody else. Every school should have one. You're right, Carolyn.
Yes.
Every school should have a police radio.
Yes.
Like and they
should have had one over 10 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, how many schools and how many children, how many families have to be examples for the chaos that's happening? Because what's going to happen is just going to continue to get worse. It is not getting better.
Nope.
It's getting worse.
So
what are we waiting for? We're waiting for another school to happen. We're waiting for another family to lose people that they love. Like, we got to wake up. We got to do something.
We have to, and it starts with us. I don't care what nobody says. It starts with us, and it starts with us voting. There are 2 primaries. We just had one May. There would be another one in August before November. We keep getting out here. The people, I'm not going to vote. And then you get to the polls. It's like you don't see the person on there that you should be voting for. You thought that was on there. And my recommendation is don't go to your local poll. Go down to the Board of Elections and vote, because you'll get to see any and everything that you need. And somebody's going to always be there that's going to answer you properly. You go to the little basement or you go to the little gym around.
They don't know nothing. They don't really have no training for real. They don't know.
Yep. Let's go here. Some of these 911 operators need to be retrained or go. A victim at the Buffalo grocery store got hung up on, and yes, they did.
Yeah.
What if a kid's call is not taken seriously? And just let me tell you,
human errors. A lot of human errors.
And then a lot of times that dispatcher, now I'm not going to take it away. I have had some great dispatchers. I'm going to tell you now, some wonderful dispatchers. I used to tell them all the time when I rode by myself, they were my co-pilots. You be in that car by yourself, you're going to that radio run.
Yeah.
They are the ones that you are talking to, and they are listening to you. They are the ones in your ear.
Y'all a team. You was the eyes, they was the ears.
That's my partner. I had to look at them as my partner. I'm telling you, it's critical. And when it's unfortunate that 911 dispatcher hung up on that person at the Buffalo grocery store. And let me say this about dispatchers. They go through the same stuff that we go through. They go through the same stuff you go through. The thing about it is they are overwhelmed. I ain't making up for nobody that hung up on the person in Buffalo, but they are overwhelmed because they get so many calls good, bad, or ugly.
And the training, I'm telling you, is intense because I tried it myself. So trust me, it's not a game. And they be on their homework, they do the homework. But at the end of the day, like she said, they're human, they're a person, they get tired. It's not an excuse at all, but that's reality.
And it's very stressful being a 911 operator. Very stressful. And like Shanice said, it ain't easy becoming a 911 operator. Carolyn said it's all political. They want their guns. Kids' death is not going to change anything. Only way it's going to change is if it happens, if it gets close to home.
That's it.
If it gets close to home, then they start, Cincinnati would be in an uproar if that was one of their schools here. Cincinnati would be turned upside down if that was, because, it would be somebody's kid that's in the political arena.
Yeah.
We pray
when it hits you where it hurts, it's a little bit different. Whether it's in them pockets, whether it's somebody you find near and dear, you know what I mean? That's when it matters. That's when it makes sense.
Yep.
That's when we have to do something.
We got to do something. We sit around here and we talk. Our ideas need to. Voting is where it takes place at in the first place. I don't care what nobody.
Because you're not voting, you're letting these fools get into office.
That's
and
it.
They wrecking havoc, and they doing whatever they was, because there was a period of time that people would sit in these legislation, and they would hold those seats for years.
Yep.
Because of the people that was continuing to come and vote for them so that they can stay in place.
Yep.
Now that is no longer happening, and we just running through fools.
They would never turn down NRA contributions, so there would be more of this continue.
Yeah, the NRA situation is a whole different ball. Yeah,
but,
it's a big deal.
But can they do something about it? Absolutely. And the only way you're gonna do about it, because you got these political people that's in office that loved NRA. You got them in there, and I'm not gonna say, and they are powerful. You right, Angela and Tracy, you all are right, but I'm a firm believer. Call me crazy if you want to, because I am. It will be changed if you put the right people in office. For the NRA. People are for making sure the NRA is responsible for a lot of things. And that's all. That's one word: responsibility.
Responsibility and accountability.
Yeah,
exactly.
So and hey. Now you're going a little deep, but then so it's the politics. Politics is a part of the mafia.
Yeah,
I mean, it runs deep, but you can't tell me if you got people in there that really care. They really care. They will make a difference. But the only way that's going to happen is you got to put the right people in office. I look at, I was reading the paper today, and they was talking about Herschel Walker, how he keep lying about the fact that he done went to college, and how he didn't hear Trump say this and say that. Those are the kind of individuals that you don't need in there, because they already starting out lying. But there were people that will vote for him just to put him in office. There's a guy that's going against Stacey Abrams down in Georgia. They don't want her to be in office because she's one of those that will hold the individuals
do the right thing. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
feet to the fire. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. We just we have to do both. We got to do both. These PACs and lobbyists are running politics. Yes, they are. And it's all about
it's been like that for years.
It's been like that for years. But
it's just now front and center. With all of the racial, how high the climate is with that, and how that's just been put out on the forefront. It's a lot of stuff that's just being put out on the front. It's always been happening. It's just that it wasn't this busy. It wasn't this out in our face. You know what I mean? It would happen here and there, but it was still happening.
It was still happening, and I was telling the girl last night, I was like, my mom didn't raise us like that. She raised us to look at people as people, not the color of their skin, as people. The unfortunate thing, I did grow up around individuals that was looking at me because of the color of my skin, but my mother didn't teach us that. So with that being, I didn't teach my child that. So like I said earlier, we can't keep blaming stuff on mental illness. Heck,
Never.
we all crazy to a certain point.
Hey, didn't I say that? What was that? A week ago, 2 weeks ago? We all, this close from snapping off.
Yep.
And it could be about anything.
See what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I can guarantee you how he feels about the situation. Did you see Coach Steve Kerr from the Golden State Warriors? Look at his comment on what he said about the shooting. See, nobody knows what other people are going through until something happens. And then
I think LeBron James made a comment as well.
Yep. Yeah. Steve Kerr's dad was shot down by the hand of gun violence. See, nobody knew that. So he's sick of it. He said he was just tired of it, and we need to do something about it. And that's the unfortunate piece. It always takes something major to draw out one's attention. And the unfortunate piece is the death of 19 people. 19, if not 21. I know it was 2 teachers, and the rest of them was yes, he did. Steve Kerr went off, and his dad was gunned down. His dad was shot. Sure was. Go back to it, read it, check it out, look at it. It is so unfortunate that when this happens, we need to do something about it. We need to push for a different reform. But the only way we're going to do that is to go vote. You got these senators. You got Shabbat in office. How long he been in office? He done combed over.
He is a fossil in office. Do you hear me?
You know what his mindset is. You know how he thinks. He's one of them that's probably not going to change. And going back to what you said, sis, we need to have term limits on how long individuals can be in office. That's another start.
Man.
Yeah.
Dinosaur. Yes, he is a fossil.
Like, good Lord. It's like, but we need to do something
about it. Yes. But I mean, I agree with you with the definitely the voting, but before BC. All right, AJ. Yeah, but the radio in the schools globally, the police radio in the schools globally, every single school top to bottom, that is just so important. And I can guarantee you now, those schools that have a little bit more money than some of the inner cities will probably make a move on that now.
Well, my thing is, that's why Seton and Elder has police, the actual police radio, the one that I used to carry around on my hip, and I used to talk to the dispatcher. Yeah, they actually got that in their schools. They got that. So why can't everybody else have that? Republicans are using mental illness platform to take away from the true NR. Yes, they are.
Right, because everything's not mental illness. Yes, and we got money for Ukraine. We got money for radio. Say that louder for the people in the back, Tracy.
For the people in the back. But here's the deal: we can only work on what we can work on locally here. So my thing is, if the word gets out, as a start, because I do feel like that's a start. That will help. That'll help.
Yes.
That would definitely help. I think if we can put out there to Cincinnati Public Schools and the Cincinnati Police Department, and the federal government, if they would put a school radio, a police radio in all these schools, all of them in around here, and I can only talk for Cincinnati. I can't speak for nobody else.
Right, and so we charge people who are in different districts. If you're hearing this or have a family member or friend who may not be in Cincinnati Public School but are in different districts, like I'm in a different district, if you can take it upon yourself to, hey, let's meet up. I want to put this, I want to put this out there. I want to verbalize this, have witnesses, whether it's one of the school meetings or something, so that it can be heard, and then now somebody can take an initiative to try to do something about it.
But see, and here's the problem I have with all of that. Here's the problem that I have with the fact it don't matter if guns are banned during the upcoming speech, whatever. It don't matter on that.
They don't have them anyway. Right.
Guns are banned in a lot of places, but people somehow still get the guns in there.
Yep.
They still get them in there. The whole thing is they shouldn't even be letting him talk about nothing. That's just my personal opinion. The people, anybody, they shouldn't let me talk if I got if I'm a spew hate out of my mouth by any means, you know, once again, I'm gonna go back to it. Don't matter if you got a D or R in front of your name. I don't give a crap. My whole thing is you as an individual know what's right. You know what's
Right. Right. What's
you
your agenda?
Yeah, you know as an individual what is right. Ain't got ain't got no fact if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. You as an individual know what's right. And you can't keep floating around here. I get so sick of people talking about Joe got to go, you know, but then Trump, you want Trump back in there and y'all think he was right. No, and no.
After the foolishness that we seen them people run up in there like that, come on now.
Ain't nobody ever, ain't no president gonna ever be perfect, Republican or Democrat.
Nope.
You gonna like some of the things they do, and you ain't gonna like some of the things they do.
That's
like
human.
To like everything that they do, and it was hatred, or it was geared toward hatred, and he could do no wrong, doesn't make sense to me.
Because that's Satan, and Satan is the author of confusion, and so that's what that is.
And that's what happened. And I don't get into arguments with people about them about politics. To each his own. I can just tell you what I think. It's just like
it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time because they got their mind made up, and you got your mind made up.
If you're a black preacher or a white preacher, as long as you're preaching the word of God, we should be all right. As long as it's right. It's just, that's my whole thing. I don't care if you
bottom. Yep.
I don't care if you worship a darn statue. I don't care if you say Buddha is your God or Yahweh and I say Jesus. I don't care nothing about all that. What's right is right.
That's it.
What
bottom line?
It's a whole lot that we sit here and we talk about what we can do, but I'm telling you, voting is the key. And they need to start training these people in the front office of these schools to be more attentive.
Yes.
Don't get so lax because
yep.
It can't happen here. Oh, it ain't gonna ever happen here.
Everybody's mindset should be, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? Not it can't never happen to me, but when exactly is it? Preparing for it to happen. And it may never happen, and that's fine. But to not be prepared to walk through life and just think, oh, the sky's blue and that's not realistic.
No. And when I would go around to these schools and teach Alice and
yep.
You know, train them in Alice and show them what they need to do, I went in and I told them, somebody gonna die.
That's real.
Ain't nobody gonna die when it's a real shooting or somebody coming in that school. If they got a gun and if their intent is to cause harm, somebody gonna die.
And that's realistic.
But we pray they don't. We definitely pray that they survive. But at the end of the day, the way that guy came in that school and had 23 rounds in an assault rifle, and those bullets are penetrating through those little bitty bodies that cannot fight off nothing.
Yeah.
Cannot make it. I mean, they cannot. And the thing about it is that gun went, that's the way it went. And those poor babies suffered because an 18-year-old can go out and buy a freaking assault rifle. And that's in any state. I mean, probably anywhere. You know, which doesn't make sense to me. And here we are. Everybody named Mama is talking about the shooting that took place in Buffalo and the shooting that took place in Texas. Both of them had an assault rifle. Both of them.
But one person ended up dead, and the other one just got talked down. So
exactly, how are they allowed? I think, and I mean, a lot of people, you know, that's on you. I don't care if you
it makes my head spin because you can't buy a cigarette. You can't buy a cigarette. You can't buy a shot of alcohol.
Nope.
But you can get a gun.
I'm in the grocery store and somebody comes in with an assault rifle and they start shooting because I'm black. And they got the N-word on the rifle. and they didn't make it home. All because they was in the grocery store trying to get some groceries. And here's another thing. He's walking across the freaking parking lot with the rifle.
Ain't nobody saying nothing. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing.
Texas is definitely the worst when it comes to gun laws. You are absolutely correct, Carolyn. They have always been the worst when it comes to gun laws. And it seems like Ohio is right on the hip.
Behind it. They right on the heels. Chaos.
It's crazy to me. It is absolutely crazy. And let me tell you, don't worry. I never leave home without it. I'm going to tell you now. That's just me. I always, somebody was like, you act like you got, yes, I do. I do. And I've always been that way. I was taught that way when I became a law enforcement officer. And I ain't never went too many places unless I'm flying. And I don't like, it bothers me when I go without it. Yes, Carolyn, a lot of the Republican states, he looked like he was playing a video game in Buffalo. Yes, he did. And see, that's my whole thing.
Apparently they agree with it. You know, it's insane.
And that's another issue. Let's go to the games. You know, let's go to the
Yep.
When Courtney was growing up, and she didn't shoot a water gun. I don't care, because to me, it was a replica of a gun. You're training a child how to pull a trigger on a gun when you got a water gun,
which will put them in danger.
You're training them how to shoot.
It puts them in danger.
Yes. Even if it's a pump water gun, that's just like a rifle. You pumping and
this is not a video game. This is real life.
Yeah, you pulling that trigger on a water gun. A water gun. So you're training your child at a young age. Think about it. You're training your child, boy or girl, at a young age to pull the trigger on a water gun. Because if you're holding it just like a gun. You're holding that thing just like a gun. Nobody ever thought about that. Nobody really, they don't think about that. A lot of people. Carolyn said her boys wasn't, Tracy said her boys weren't allowed to have guns either. No, honey, my daughter did not play with a water gun. And we did not do the video games that had guns.
And it's really bad. It's pretty bad now, because you get a lot of these games, Grand Theft Auto, they shoot at the police, and just a lot of things that they're doing, exposed to, allowed to do, and then they try to act it out in real life, and you end up losing your life.
Yeah.
Or you end up, causing someone else to lose theirs. And you don't get to get back up in real life like you do in a video game, because that's not real.
You don't get to start over. You don't start your life over when you turn it off and turn it back on.
Right. Them babies can't get back up and go to their family date. No, it's over.
Them parents can't touch their children no more. They can't say I love you. That baby girl got honors. Her mom had just left the school because she was recognized as being an honor student. She had just taken a picture with her, just walked out to school,
left
and went home, and now her baby dead and gone. Dead and gone. Tracy said my older babysitter allowed the kids to play Grand Theft Auto. I went off like Steve Kerr, and you should have. And I don't blame you. My thing is, I'm not the one to tell anybody how to parent. But when you have parents that are sitting there with kids playing Grand Theft Auto and all them other crazy video games that's shooting folks down, what are you teaching them? What are you teaching them? You're teaching them how to kill. You're teaching them how to cause harm to somebody else.
How to defy, the laws of the land.
Yep. And whatever it is, it don't necessarily have to be the police. They're going against the grain, and then you're teaching them to go against the grain. You're teaching that kid to go against the teacher that's trying to teach them and get them an education in school. And you tell me, so I'm gonna do you like I do at Grand Theft Auto. What the? I mean, so you already know if the kid says that, then you better,
yeah.
You better be trying
and
to
it's already bad, because a lot of people are on high alert. So now we're on higher alert, right? And folks are getting more stressed out now,
Which It's which is why, because in the schools, teachers have become so overwhelmed with the work that they have
Yep.
to do in order to teach the class, and especially if your class is so um, chaotic, and if you got one or two in there, because they're mixing all kids in
Yep.
classrooms now. They're mixing all kids, those that are
IAPs
labeled
and
with
yep.
IEPs. I
Yep.
don't. What's the IEP? Those are labeled as ADHD.
Yep.
Those are labeled to be on Ritalin or whatever. You're putting all these kids in the classroom.
And there's triggers. I mean, they're not realizing that this is overwhelming even for a child, and there are triggers. We all have them.
Yep. The world will never
That's
get right
right.
until we get right with God. It's all
That's
clear
right.
in Deuteronomy. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. We're in Revelations right now,
Yep.
where you don't know a season from a season, and right is wrong and wrong is right. That's where we at right now.
We have to recognize it. And not only that, let me say this too. When Courtney was in school, I used to tell her what to do if and when anything happened in school. I used to make sure she knew what to do and where to go to get out. Do whatever she got to do to try to get out of there. And if it was in her best interest to try to crawl out a window, break that window up, or tear that window down and try to get out, then that's what you do. The first thing that people don't understand, Alice is different than what it used to be. We used to be on the desk, we used to be behind the doors, we used to have to be in the fetal position. No, boo. If you can get out,
get out. Yeah.
Try to listen and hear where everything is coming from, because it may be chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
The window, try to get out of that window. And I know if you schools don't, most schools, some schools are high up, they got stories, they are
well that, and a lot of the schools are locking it down, so they're not letting nobody out and they're not letting nobody in.
Well, see, that's not Alice. Alice will let you out. Alice training will let you out of
I've been through Alice. I've done Alice.
Alice training will let you out of the building. You get out of Alice, and it's an emergency evacuation training.
Simulation. Yeah, they do simulations and stuff. Yes.
It's an active training. It's active shooter training. Look it up. It's ALICE. Alice training. And it tells you what you should do and how you should do it.
Yep.
But most people, I'm gonna tell you, Cincinnati public schools, but a lot of them private schools and some of them schools that's in Cincinnati public schools don't feel like they need the training. They don't want to do the training. Hughes High School never did it. The principal had an issue with doing it. I would tell on everybody, because they don't. My thing is, you're less worried about what's going on instead of the safety of the kids.
Right. No, they might worried about their bottom line instead of worrying
about everything else instead of worrying about the safety of the children. So they never she never wanted to do the Alice training. Never wanted to do the Alice training. There's schools that feel like they shouldn't do it. They don't have to do it. Alert, lockdown, enforce, counter, and evacuate. I believe that's what it means. Alert, lockdown, enforce, counter, and evacuate. I think that's what it means. Don't quote me on it. It's been a minute. But look it up. It's ALICE. Alice.
Right. And if you got to get together with some of your coworkers and say, hey, we need to push this, we need to, let's put our little pocket change together. And let's pack lunch for 3 weeks, and then let's take that money we would have spent for lunch, and let's get this Alice training going, so we can, so we can save ourselves and maybe a few other people as well.
Alice training is for schools. It's for everybody. If you work for a business or a big corporation or some big company, it's for that company that you work for too. It's just not for school.
No,
you got a kid in school, you better show them and teach them and read about the Alice, because that'll be one kid in that classroom that'll know what to do and how to do it, and that could be your child, because you have taught your child what they need to do with active shooter or emergency response in that school. That's another place that we could start. But
Yep.
Cincinnati public schools and all these private and charter schools don't want to have enough of those
They don't
trainers.
want to spend. Yeah, they don't want to spend. They don't want to spend. They don't want to take the time, and they don't want to spend the resources needed.
They don't understand.
You know, but you got to walk through this life. You got to walk through this life, unfortunately. And it's sad that we have to say this. You have to walk through this life. Like, it can happen. Yep. Anything can happen at any given time. You could be pumping gas right now, and a shootout can happen. You can be going to Walmart right now, man, your business, grabbing some clothes, and a shootout can happen. You can be going to Skyline, getting something to eat, sit down, and a shootout can happen. This is your thought process. How am I going to get out? Focus. You know what I mean? Like, everywhere you go, this has to be on your mind.
Don't have tunnel vision and get stuck somewhere and just don't pay attention to what's going on around you. Don't do that.
Always pay attention to your surroundings. Don't just be in la la land. Oh, that's nice over there. No, you have to pay attention. And you have to teach your kids to pay attention too.
If it's your party you giving, you need to make sure that you'll be aware of what's going on at your own party. Well, who's there, what's happening, and what's taking place. But I'm telling you, when I was down in the SRO and the alert, lockdown, inform. There you go, Carolyn.
Thank you.
You got to be alert, and it's a lockdown, but can't nobody come in, but you can get out, but you lock it down, but can't nobody come in because there's always going to be an egress where the kids can get out. And you got to inform them, which means that's the 911 call. You got to let them know what's going on. Somebody got to start telling somebody what's happening. And then you got the counter, and your counter is if they're coming into if you can't make it out because the shooter is right there in your room,
figure
out how you lock that room down, put the chairs up there, and if they and try to be as quiet as you possibly can. And if they do come in there,
you give it all you got. You throw chairs, you throw whatever you got.
You throw the Bible, the shoes, the everything,
whatever.
Those kids got to have something in their hands to throw at the intruder.
That's for sure.
You got to be able to get up out of there, evacuate, get up, see you, hasta la vista. That's why I say if the shooter is not, or if the emergency or whatever it is does not happen in your hallway or wherever, try to get them babies out as quickly as possible. Try to get them out as quickly as possible. But when it was, I believe the school in Virginia, the guy went in and he put chains on all the doors, and went around shooting up people. He chained the doors. So you got to have a way of knowing how to get out. If you can't get out through that door, got to get out through the window. And see, my thing is, Carolyn say, I do 3 a year. My psycho, pre-kindergarten, first grade, I don't play. My whole thing is, Carolyn,
I know that's right.
I don't think 3 is enough. Yes, and turn off the lights. You got to be, if you get locked down in your room, that's what you need to do. But I don't like the fact that, Carolyn, that they only do 3. I think they should do more than 3 because you and I know training
will keep you alive. It'll save your life.
You can't ever. It's like they say, practice makes perfect. Training.
Because you can't think of every scenario in your head. It has to actually be happening where your adrenaline is going. Some people freeze because they're in shock. They don't know what to do. Or some people scream. You can't play it out in your head. It has to actually happen.
And then my thing is, I was just seeing on the TV, they say he was in the school for at least 40 minutes. How did that happen?
Oh my God.
40 minutes.
Somebody's got to be accountable for that.
Elementary school. Come on. I know, Carolyn, your babies don't play because they got the ex-police over there. They got not only the retired police, they got a retired sergeant that's been through hell and back in the Cincinnati Police Department, which is why I still think that the front office need a radio. Because you and I know how this thing works. I think they need to be able, because I know where your school is located, Carolyn. I know, so in order for something to take place or something to go down, you're going to need some quick access. It's like them schools way out in Cheviot. You're going to need, we got one school, Cincinnati Public School out in Cheviot. You're going to need quick access if something take place. That's all I'm saying. So somebody talks it out there at the new superintendent for Cincinnati Public Schools. See if we can't get some radios in these schools. Toss it out there to the,
whatever area, whatever district you in.
Yeah, whatever.
If they're having these meetings, go to the meetings and speak up, speak out, because then you'll have witnesses, somebody saying, you know what, a person came to the meeting and they, they voiced this, they said this, and we didn't do nothing about it. You know what I mean? Like, Do your best to try to make something happen.
They got money. They got money.
They sitting on it.
I believe they got money, and they have enough money that they can buy radios for all the schools in the city of Cincinnati or Hamilton County or whatever. They got money. So get that federal funded money and start with them radios in them schools. And it sits right there at the secretary's desk, and train that secretary how to use that radio. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And train her sub or whoever she's sick that day or whatever. Train that person too.
That's a hopefully the secretaries ain't gonna have too many subs in there. Hopefully they be the same people at the front office.
I hope so, but you just never know. You know, that day you get that scratchy throat.
Everybody got to be by. I mean, everybody.
And don't nobody know nothing. She was the only one.
The principal and the secretaries, assistant principals need to be trained how to use the radio. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
so that's a start. Exactly. They know to give you one. If they give Carolyn one, you know you already trained.
It's on the flow. It's gonna go down.
They need to give you one. You already trained. But we here. Our condolences go out to the people in Texas,
definitely
everybody in Texas, because it just didn't affect that little city. It affected the whole entire world. So, our condolences to really everybody, and we love you. Thanks for tuning in.
Definitely.
So please, if you don't know, teach your child. Teach them about the drill. Teach them what they need to know. Teach them how they need to know it. There's many different things that they can do. 19 babies that just couldn't do nothing, because, the school, if it's 1,700 individuals in that whole city, the school was small. Everybody should know everybody when they probably don't, but how do you have a person in the school for 40 minutes and nobody, 40?
Right. Is this show and tell? Like, what in the world?
40 minutes. And did the school have cameras? You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot. It's just a lot. It's a lot.
The parent, it's a lot of unanswered questions.
And a lot of these schools, and I know a lot of these schools got cameras that don't work because they haven't fixed them, or they're down, or, ask.
They're not in the budget.
Yep. Tell your child to ask, look around the school and see where the cameras are, just try your best to teach your child what to do in case of an emergency at a school, at a movies, at the party, at a football game, basketball
game,
everywhere. Teach them what to do and how to go about doing it. Not only them, we as individuals need to learn as much as we can on what to do and how to do it in case we get involved or something around us happen and take place. So with that all being said,
yes.
What
we come to our this is Wind Down Wednesday. We've come to the point of our show. We leave our positive quotes. Carolyn saying he crashed in with car first class saw he started shooting, so they didn't have a chance.
No, them babies, none of them had the baby. None of them had a chance. I don't know if he crashed his car in the school. I thought he walked through the front door. From what I'm understanding, he just walked through the front door, went down the hallway, and went to a classroom. What was he doing in the class?
That's too much time.
But I also heard that they had him barricaded in one of the rooms for at least 30 minutes with the kids. But he had already shot those kids. So I don't know how he got out and got into his car and took off. How do you let him get out of the classroom?
How do you do that and drive off into the suspect?
You had him barricaded in the classroom, and he was in that school in the classroom with the kids that he had already shot. How do you let him get out? But from my understanding, he shot the police. The police officer got shot too or something. I don't know, but if you watch CNN,
it's still unraveling. It's still unraveling.
Yeah, CNN, MSNBC, all of them news stations, they would tell you can catch bits and pieces as what happened. So just be careful. And if you're going to have a gun, please know how to use it. Please know how to use it. Don't have it just to be having it to terrorize somebody. And don't ever point it at nobody and use it. Unless you're planning on using it. Ever. So, and then first of all, you don't need to let nobody know you got one in the first place.
That's what I was just about to say. Nobody should even know that it exists.
So just be careful, be aware of your surroundings, and we love y'all. But it's time to go. We got to get out of here. We got
Yes.
to move on. We love y'all. Thanks for
Be
tuning
safe.
in.
Be
Be
safe
safe.
and pay attention to your surroundings at all times.
Yes. Oh, that's what I got to say too. I mean, that's pretty much all I got to say. Pay attention to your surroundings and teach your kids safety. Make sure you teach them as much as you can. And they're never too old to know. Never too old to know. Your child is never too old to know.
Safety is between here.
Yes. So that's my thing. We love you too. We love you guys. Y'all know what time it is. We love you. And it's always better to give than to receive, and positive in and positive out. We out of here, and we'll see you next
next week.
Be safe, and we love you.
Bye.